Mr. Graves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Secretary, if I could circle back around to some of the cybersecurity conversation we were having a minute ago. I brought up the sanctions on North Korea, and I don't think I asked the question, are they still being enforced today, those sanctions? Are you familiar if they are?
I mean, we have churned out, as you know, a large number of sanctions on North Korea that really have been focused on their nuclear weapons programs. I'm not familiar with the Sony sanctions. I'm more than happy to go back and look at them and let you know. I know there have been some other sanctions on North Korea associated with cyber crimes that they've done, or not against them, on actors in North Korea. Let me be more specific. But I'm happy to get back to you specifically on the Sony sanctions. I don't know what the impact was.
And the reason I ask is really just trying to get my head around the policy of sanctions as it relates to cyber. You know, how long will they be imposed if they are? And when do you choose not to? You know, and I know this is policy from the previous administration, which sort of leads me to the next thought is that it was recently identified that China was responsible for, and people were indicted in China for the recent hacks here as well. And yet I don't think sanctions were imposed in that case. Where do you draw that red line of when sanctions should be imposed, or is it really not an effective response when a foreign sponsored entity attacks one of our companies?
I broadly think sanctions are very, very effective. So as a broad statement, targeted sanctions are very effective. As it relates to the specifics, we do coordinate with DOJ. There are times that we do things together. There are times we do things where there are sanctions and not indictments. The standards are different. So there'll be policy times when we decide to do them together. There'll be policy times where we do sanctions and don't do indictments, and the other way around.
Yeah, it seems, I guess, when I feel like China might have been accused for the opium breach that occurred with 23 million, records of federal employees, as well as maybe Equifax and others. So I'm trying to find out where that red line is, and I think that's difficult, and I think we're all struggling with identifying how do we respond to some of these, and which